Oh, now we started. Okay.
All right. Well, good evening. I will call to order the July 14th, 2025 regular Community Services Commission meeting. It is 6:39, it looks like. So welcome everybody. Hope everyone's having a good summer. Staff Liaison Melissa, will you please call the roll? Is that still your title? Did you? All right. Melissa, please call roll.
Chair Samuels,
Here.
Vice Chair Plotkin, present. Commissioner Field,
Here.
Commissioner Bagasau,
Here.
Commissioner Lai,
Here.
Commissioner Moore, absent. Commissioner Weinberger,
Here.
you have a quorum.
Okay. Commissioner Lai,
Yes.
if you would, please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, let's stand and face the flag of our nation.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. In an effort to better manage the business on the agenda, general public comment will be limited to 30 minutes at the beginning of the agenda. If there are speakers remaining in the queue, they will be heard at the end of the meeting. If anyone in attendance would like to make general public comment for items not listed on the agenda and are under the purview of the Community Services Commission, please now raise your hand on Zoom or turn in a speaker card. Staff, let's give speakers a few seconds to raise their hand, shall we?
Chair, you have no speakers on Zoom or in the chambers.
Okay, thank you. With there being no one else to speak, I will now declare the public comment period closed. And let's move on to item number 2, reordering of additions or deletions to the agenda. Does anyone have any reordering of additions or deletions to the agenda? Well, I do. And I'd like to make a motion to add back a discussion about the golf course. I know it was removed, but I'd like to make a motion to discuss the golf course a little bit. Maybe not. Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to discuss the golf course and how things are being added and removed from the agenda. As the chair, my understanding was, well, I'd like to make a motion to discuss the things that were removed from the agenda, including the golf course. Can I get a second if there is a...
I'll second the motion. So I think you're going to have to do that to add it to a future agenda because this has to be posted by, with a certain amount of time, 48 hours in advance, I believe, 72 hours.
I don't think so. I mean, if you
You cannot discuss an item not on the agenda that you can't add to. You can ask for it to be. This is the way the city council works.
And I believe you are correct, Mayor.
Because it wasn't on the posted agenda to the public, you can't discuss it. You can add it to a future agenda if it's within your jurisdiction.
Okay.
And as I believe I sent an email out to all the commission this morning. So any of the city leased facilities that we have, whether it's leased or managed, operated, is not in the purview of the commission, which is the reason why it was taken off of the agenda.
I think we all received that, and we will not discuss it now. We can discuss it later because we can't add it to the agenda or discuss it, I guess, at least this agenda. So there are things I'd like to comment on, and I know you sent an email about it, but we can't discuss it now since it can't be agendized. So we'll talk about it later in the work plan or perhaps never.
The direction I was given by the city manager, I just want to reinstate that it's not in the purview of the commission. So the city council is the managing body that oversees the lease agreements of the city facilities. So I don't believe that I'm able to bring back an agenda such as that, per your request, Chair Samuels.
Well, as part of that contract, there is a clause that talks about I forget what the terminology is, but some sort of,
I'd like to move that we stay on the agenda if possible. If we're going to add it to the next month's agenda, let's do it. But, if it's not on the agenda for today, I don't think it's appropriate to
Okay.
be addressing
all
it.
right. So hearing no changes, we'll continue with the next item. Items listed under the consent calendar are considered by the city manager to be routine in nature and will be enacted by one motion unless a public comment has been received or commission requests otherwise, in which case the item will be removed for separate consideration. Any motion relating to an ordinance or a resolution shall also waive the reading of the ordinance or resolution and include its introduction or adoption as appropriate. Do I have a motion to approve the items as presented?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion made by Commissioner Lai, seconded by Commissioner Field. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chair Samuels,
Yes.
Chair Plotkin,
Yes. Did you hear me?
yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Field,
Yes.
Commissioner Bagusau,
Yes.
Commissioner Lai,
Yes.
Commissioner Weinberger.
Yes.
Motion approved.
Okay. Let's see, where are we? I guess we're all the way at the end. Item number 4. Community Services Director Lucy Jacobian to present the item.
Good evening, Commissioners. Tonight, the Commission is being asked to review the revised draft work plan. At a previous meeting, I recognized that I did not clearly ensure that our work plan fully aligned with the City Council's priorities. This is our opportunity to correct that and move forward with clarity and purpose. As you all know, the work plan is more than a checklist. It's our roadmap. It defines our focus, guides our efforts, and ensures our work has real impact. By aligning it with council priorities, we strengthen the value and relevance of what we do as a commission. I look forward to your input and discussion as we review and approve this plan together. Thank you.
I have no comment.
I have a comment. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
I'm very curious about this. There's some things going on here that I don't know. I didn't get any kind of email from Mayor Braun about what's going on here. I don't know where have we deviated from the plan? That's question number 1. Question number 2, where is this coming from? Is this coming from city council, from city manager? What is happening here? This is all very strange to me.
Again, as I mentioned earlier, we have to align our work plan, the commission's work plan, with the city priorities. A few months ago, when we drafted the work plan, there were items on there that did not quite align with the city council priorities. And in a meeting that I had with the city manager and the mayor, we've drafted this current list that you have in your packet that aligns with what the city council has set for themselves for 2025.
Okay,
So-
where are the items that we have deviated?
I don't have the list from last month. Unfortunately, I can pull it up if you give me a few minutes, but this is the items that we have listed here as a draft include social media presence as one of the tasks, assisting with the parks comprehensive plan, as well as ribbon cutting ceremony for the pocket parks and help with public outreach, input on potential new developments for the golf course, providing input on city celebrations that are coming up next year and in 3 years, and also provide input and assist with outreach for the community and the library site plan with upcoming community events and outreach with the community engagement.
So I'm hearing that we do have something to do with the golf course, but then I'm hearing at the beginning that we don't.
I believe what Chair Samuels was pertaining to the golf course was having the operator come in to just have a discussion, which is something that we are unable to take care of, that we are unable to present to council because it does not fall under commission's purview. However, in my staff communications later on, I will provide some brief updates regarding the golf course and how the commission can be involved later on.
Okay. I don't want to get snarky about this, but I'm not happy about this. What about other things that we're working on, like the senior center? I don't see that in the priorities anywhere. What about skate park, batting cages, youth services, um, animal services that was killed off? You know, what's going on?
Those are all operational items, and those are all handled by the city staff within the Community Services Department.
Does the community services get to discuss this at all?
Of the things that you listed just a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
those are all work that is assigned to us as city staff. It is not under the jurisdiction of the commission.
So I have a question. So in other words, all the work that this commission has put in since January is what? Just null and void, and this is what we're left with?
That's not what I'm implying or stating,
Well, I mean,
Commissioner
actually, you
Bagasao.
just said that this is our work plan now because what we had discussed for the last 6 months is not under our purview. This is what's changed by the council or by the mayor and the city manager. So everything that we discussed and worked on here as a group for our work plan, which we were asked to do earlier on this year, is now not here. So it actually was, I just don't understand why we went through all of that. Because to me, this seems like, I don't know, it seems very watered down for a commission.
And seems very top-down. So this is similar to what has happened with the agendas, where new agendas will come out, and it's then left to me or whomever is reviewing the agendas to then reach back out to city staff to say, oh, hey, what happened to this? There's been no outreach, there's been no communication unless it's initiated by the commissioners. And so if in fact the city wants the commissioners to participate in helping to guide, which I believe they made gave us that impression at the beginning of the year, it seems to be reversed, 180 degrees. So, and there's, this new work plan comes out with no collaboration with the commissioners. It's just been pushed down. And I think that it totally dilutes, our participation and what I thought I was supposed to be doing as a commissioner. So I don't really understand what my role is or what any of our roles are other than reviewing minutes and, approving those if there's nothing significant on the agenda, and all of the work that we put into the work plan has just been completely removed. Seems very odd.
Thanks. I feel disrespected here. And
I do as well.
So I'm going to jump in here. I wasn't at the meeting where you all adopted the work plan. I think Todd and I were at the Oneonta Club when he first started. So I don't know how many meetings it was that you worked on the work plan, but I think you adopted it in April?
April, yes.
So I think one of the things we have to look at, I think it's evolving. The commissions have had an interesting journey over the last 6 years or so. And I think we're all still looking for what is the role of the commissions, how involved should they be? There is an operational piece to what the staff is doing. There is sort of the city council's role here of what the city council's role is. And then the city council would like the commissions to sort of provide guidance on matters within the community services role for this particular commission. I think what happened a couple months ago was an item was put on the agenda for this commission that was not within the jurisdiction of this commission, that was already approved by the city council, and that the city manager had asked that it not be on the agenda. And it got on the agenda, and it caused a lot of discussion, and it was really improper to be on the agenda. And so I think what happened is that, so we then took a look at it caused us to take a look at, okay, let's go back to the city council priorities. What on these priorities really falls within the Community Services Commission? And what are the things that we'd really like to see from the Community Services Commission? So we talked about, Lucy and Todd and I talked about that, and these were just suggestions. This is not, we're throwing it down your throat, but thrown bathrooms is not within the jurisdiction of this commission. So that's kind of the way this started. And so that's where we are. So we're looking for your input. We're looking, but I think you need to look, we all need to look at what has the city council prioritized, what great role. I think instead of looking at things have been taken away from us, I think we're looking for input from the commission, and some things have been added here. And I think this commission has a great role to play and lots of community input because there's a lot going on. We got a library, we got a community center, we got World Cup, we've got Olympics, we've got the California 175th celebration. We've got to start preparing for the 250th birthday of the United States of America for next July 4th. I mean, there's pocket parks happening, the Parks Master Plan. So I think there's a lot happening that falls within the jurisdiction to give the council and the city some guidance and some input on what we should be thinking about. So I hope that's helpful. It might not be the answer you want to hear, but that's really what happened here.
So the item that we deviated from what I'm hearing, is discussion of the bathroom at the, is that right?
Well, I'd say that, Steve, I'd say that that's what precipitated this. Like, so, Todd had said that should not be on the agenda. Then I think there was a lot of pressure put on staff to put it on the agenda. It got on the agenda. This commission spent a lot of time talking about it. I think it even came up at that meeting like, oh, this has already been approved by council. Why are we even talking about this? So it then kind of got to be of, okay, so how is the agenda being set? How should it be being set? What is the work plan of the communities? Not just this commission, but all the commissions. What should the commissions be looking at? What are we asking them for? And I don't think it's just this commission. I think it's all the commissions. I think it's an evolving kind of exercise because I think the commissions generally, in fact, I think it's a priority for us to figure out some of the commissions' roles and how that's working, because I don't think it's been working well for a while. So I think we're trying to work through this together. So
Yeah, that item was on the agenda, and that's why we discussed it. So we discussed what was in front of us.
I understand that. I understand that, but I think it should not have been on the agenda. So
What it's sounding like to me then is that we're somewhat being admonished and punished for caring enough about this to want to contribute to that conversation. Couldn't just a warning have been more, but to totally change the course of work that I thought we would be doing the rest of the year seems a little extreme. And again, I find it extremely disrespectful. I'm a volunteer here, and I've been taking this position extremely serious. I was telling him, I keep every note and everything from this commission in a binder on my desk in my kitchen. This is really, really upsetting to me, and I'm not sure exactly what it is that you want me to do. I'm not here just to rubber stamp everything and go along to get along. I really wanted to make a contribution to my community on important issues this year, not talking about the Olympics or FIFA. And I think there are a lot of important things facing our city now that fall under community services. And I don't see how my presence here is going to make one difference to the city before the end of the year.
So I'd like to hear examples of what any commissioner thinks has been taken away from them.
If I may just, I'm not sure if this is the work plan that we, that was like our final approval work plan, but I pulled up a Community Services 2025 work plan from our April meeting, just to compare our tasks and activities. And it does seem like the theme overall, which I know we had originally talked about at the top of the year, taking a much more active approach. Whereas in the past, this commission has had a pretty passive approach to everything. We really want to be involved in an active manner. And so when I'm looking at the work plan from April, for example, if you're open to us putting things back into this work plan, is that where we're going with this? Are we suggesting things to maybe put back in that we want done, or?
I mean, I think you can suggest things to be
Okay.
put back in. To me, I think we're trying to come up with what's the right work plan, right? Nobody's trying to take things away from you. Nobody's trying to, I think if we take a more positive outlook and not a negative outlook, we can come up with something. But I think you also have the operational side. You know, we have staff that runs, that works with the golf course operator and deals with the golf course. Could there be some oversight by this commission? Certainly. But the city council doesn't have, you know, we have our, on that level, we also have the staff do the things. We don't go into their operational mode, right? The staff presents to us. So I think that that's kind of the same analysis, but at the commission level. So if that's helpful. So
Yeah.
you might give an example.
Yeah, so for the April one, it was split into objectives, then tasks and activities. So within the objective of enhance department community strategies, this number one, social media presence, was a part of that. But part of that was develop a comprehensive communication plan for the department, which it sounds like we probably need right now. We need to help develop a communication plan, which is part of our education, because if we don't know what's in our purview, then time gets wasted and it doesn't seem like we're utilizing everyone's brains efficiently. So what was taken out was develop a comprehensive communication plan for the department, review and update the city's website to improve accessibility and user experience. So that was taken out of this one.
So website development, that's a staff issue.
Okay, so noted on that.
The
Then
staff issue of execution.
Correct.
I agree, but
Correct.
we can
providing-
offer feedback on it.
Feedback to that, I agree. So this is the process we want here, like,
But I think what is actually, in my opinion, what has happened over the last several months with the bathroom, the golf course, the work plan, is that staff does not bring things to our attention for discussion. They are just passed through to city council, which is fine, I guess, if that is what city council wants and the new city manager wants, and I get that. But as a community services commissioner and the chair of this commission, I was under the impression that our charter was to help the community services department and be a buffer and a sounding board for that department to help them liaise and present to city council when there are items that come up that are going to significantly impact the community. And rather than us being that sounding board, we are just bypassed. And I truly do not want to be a part of this commission if that is what this commission is being chartered to do. And I know that that's like, it sounds like I'm taking my ball and going home, but that's not how I want to participate.
so I totally, I mean, I hear the frustration, right? I do. And I think we are trying to work to figure out what the right answer is here. I mean, I don't think people are trying to take things away. I don't think there's this admonishment. I don't think it's a negative. I think we're trying to find the right solution. So I think there's the operational side for the staff, right? Then there's the decision-making at the council level, but I think you can help work with staff on sort of outreach to community, input for what community members might think about something that staff is proposing, input, review a
We
draft?
don't know what those
website?
things are. All of a sudden, they're on the city council agenda, and we have not had an opportunity to discuss them. I thought we went through a very healthy exercise. The three of us, had a brainstorming session on Zoom. We talked about what might be part of the work plan. We brought it to the commission. We all participated. We created this, the initial draft and approved the work plan. I understand that some of it may not have been appropriate after review by you and the new city manager who has come in and fresh set of eyes, and I totally get all of that. But then to blindside
Yeah, we were
us and
blindsided.
say, you know what, here's the revised work plan without engaging anyone or talking to anybody on the commission, I think is consistent with the gaps in communication that exist with the commission. And I am disappointed that I feel like I've communicated my, not, yeah, disappointed that, that this is a gap that has existed and it still continues and it persists, and I'm disappointed.
If I may, Chair Samuels, I
Yes.
just want to redirect the conversation. This item is to review and to discuss the item. So we are looking for you guys' input, but we just want to ensure that it does align with the council priorities, which is the first attachment. So we're open to that discussion that you guys had initially to revise what we have drafted for you all tonight. If there's items that you guys would like to add or look at, we can see if those align with the council priorities and add them for review and adoption here now.
I think if that were truly the case, the old work plan would have been included in the agenda packet. We could compare and contrast the old with the new to discuss what has been removed and what the new one looks like and should be. Instead, I know you have it, and I appreciate. I don't want it necessarily, but thank you. The fact that it wasn't included is like, you know what? Here's the new one. Let's discuss the new one without giving any credence to the old one.
And I think to Chair Samuel's point, had it been in the report that this is what was happening, maybe we could have come here with a better understanding of what we were being asked to do tonight. So to say this is here for discussion, but it doesn't say in the background or analysis, unfortunately, what you've worked on and approved back in April doesn't align with this, so we need to revise. That would have been easier for me to swallow. But like he said, I feel blindsided by this. I looked at it and I'm like, where's the one that we've worked on? And why are we discussing this now? So where's the background on that? There was an opportunity in the report to tell us the things that you just told us that we had to ask. So I understand there's this frustration here is double. One, that it's being changed from what we thought that we were going to be able to do. And I personally, and I think Commissioner Plotkin and Commissioner Samuels or Chair Samuels, we're all very excited about this. And then now it's something completely different. Ribbon cuttings at pocket parks. I mean, come on, with the experience we have on this board, that's what you want to glean from us. And then to not have it in here. So for me, it's just a double frustration and a double reason for me to feel disrespected.
I just want to jump in here. I think, having the other one would have been helpful. So I definitely agree there. However, I think there's a big reset that's happening in our city. So when I saw the work plan, if that's what it's called, that the city council is doing, that was a big deal for me. When I said, wow, our city seems like it's been a little, I'd say a mess. That's how I personally see it. And then to see that come in, I even pulled aside Mayor Braun a few months ago and said I was really impressed. We needed this. We had no North Star or guiding principles. And so to me, it just feels like a reset. Yeah, would I've liked to have the old one? Fine. But there's a big reset happening in the city, and it's coming down to us. And so this feels very clear and connected to that new set of goals that we as a city are following. And we have a new city manager too. So to me, it's not super surprising that we're having to go through this. Yeah, it's frustrating. We did some work. I hear that. I agree with that. But this seems very clear and connected to our priorities as a city and the city council. So I'm fine with that. And if there's anything else that we really feel passionate about, we can look right now. Thank you for Commissioner Weinberger. You haven't, we can discuss it. But I think these are all still great and wonderful things. We have a lot of things happening in the city, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And yeah, so that's my opinion on it.
I'd like to throw something in. I'm looking at the purpose, membership, and terms of the Community Service Commission, full-throated. And this does not appear to be aligned either. So I want to read this. Community Service Commission is a 7-member body that act in advisory capacity of the City Council in all matters pertaining to activities promoting the health, interests, and well-being of the city's senior center and youth populations, in all matters pertaining to parks and public recreation, recommends policies for the control, management, and use of community services facilities, recommends the acquisition, use, and relinquishment of community service facilities, advise the city council on developments of recreation areas, facilities, and it goes on and on. I mean, that has power. What I'm hearing is we don't have power. We're a rubber stamp.
You know, that's the third or fourth time I've heard the term rubber stamp, and I personally find it a little bit offensive and minimizing for the work that we actually do here. I don't see it as rubber stamp work. I'm sorry that some of you do. But nothing in what Mr. Plotkin said allows this body to serve as oversight for any division of the city. And I believe that since in recent months, we have lost track of the purpose of this commission, which is, as Mr. Plotkin noted, to provide advisory capacity.
I didn't finish. I did not even finish. I went 1/3 of the way through. Just to
I'm
show
sorry, you've
all
had
the
plenty
power.
of opportunity to talk. This is the first time I've
I
been able to
stopped.
speak on this
Okay,
issue.
okay, goody. Fuck.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
You know, I got onto this commission wanting to offer what I felt was insight and some experience, and also to serve as a liaison between the community and the community services division and the staff with respect to the use of the parks and the recreation facilities. And I feel like we've done exactly that. I recognize that there are issues that are tangentially related, but necessarily fall outside of the scope of this commission that I believe is inappropriate for this commission to be addressing. I've raised those concerns previously in the past. There is a means if you are dissatisfied with the actions of the council. It is not to bring those grievances to this commission. This commission has a purpose, and I feel that we have lost that purpose. And with this revised work plan, I think it is getting us back on track to what we are really supposed to be doing, which is to provide that advisory capacity.
I do want to highlight, and I'm hearing what everyone's saying, and I actually agree with both sides, because I do think that if this was an open discussion about, hey, the city's going in a different direction, so we need to revisit the work plan that we made, and here's a recommended new one. Is there a way that we can combine the one that we worked really hard to make in April, so that if anything was left out, you know, I think I understand that it felt a little bit, people are feeling blindsided because it doesn't seem like that transparency was, I suppose, presented. I also hear, you know, I understand, I think one of the issues when I first came into this commission as a newbie was that it seemed like there was not clarity over where our scope was. And that's something that I've been very clear in the beginning, like, we need to understand what our purview is so we don't waste anybody's time. And it seems like that's kind of, we've talked about educating ourselves. We've talked about having presentations where we actually meet with people in other city departments so we understand what is worth our discussion periods and what's not. I also hear Commissioner Plotkin talking about, and this is something that I'm noticing in our commission's mission. It's advisory, as Commissioner Lai mentioned, but it is also to offer recommendations and review. And that was in the April work plan, that sort of active initiative and agency seems to have been taken out of this current work plan, which is just merely to provide input. So I do want to incorporate back into the current work plan some of the more active participation, you know, aspects of this commission, like review. For for example, review and provide recommendations on the guidelines for the Community Services Department, complete the parks comprehensive plan, create a long-term, these are all things that we've put a lot of time into that I think we can incorporate back in and fuse maybe, yeah, I don't think anyone's saying we wouldn't want to contribute to the ribbon cutting. We don't want to not do these things, but we want to do these things and some of the other things that we had talked about. So if there's maybe, I'm not sure if this is, it sounds like this particular meeting is for incorporating some of those things back in. I don't think anyone is vehemently against doing these things, but I think limiting our impact to just these things seems to minimize the effort that a lot of people have put in. So can we incorporate some of the things from last time and put them back in today?
I know you just mentioned the community services,
The Parks Comprehensive Plan? Oh,
the guidelines.
yeah, the
That
guidelines for the
is-
Community
that-
Services Department.
That is operational, so that is something that would fall under the purview of the city staff.
I think
But
maybe
I'm
it's- yeah.
open to hearing what other ideas we
Mhm.
can possibly incorporate into this, as long as we stay aligned with the city council priorities.
And maybe that's a good way to educate us if we go through something that we were passionate about and then you explain to us this is not within your purview, then we understand. But
So
Yeah.
let me just dive in here. So the very first thing was develop a comprehensive communication plan. So it's not, this commission's not going to develop the plan. You could provide input to the plan, right? You could review and provide input and recommendations. So I think that's the thing, is review and update the city's website. Like, this commission's not going to review and update the website. That's the staff. You could review the draft website or review things and provide guidance, provide recommendations. I think that's, and again, I think some of the frustrations that have been expressed here have merit. I'm not going to dismiss them. I understand it. Communication's not our strong suit in this city. So if we've tripped here, I apologize. But I think that we are trying to all get to the same place, which is, let's make sure we all understand each other's roles and what they really are. It's not that anybody's trying to just shut down this commission. In fact, to the contrary, we want the input of this commission, but it's a question of, you're not going to make the website, but you can review it and you can give recommendations. You're not going to complete the parks comprehensive plan. We got a consultant to do that. But you're going to, you should be assisting, you should be talking to the consultant, you should be giving the input, you should be reaching out to the community. This is my, I'm working with you here. You tell me when you disagree with that. But that's kind of the direction I think we need to go. Does that make sense, or do you disagree?
I agree. And I agree with Commissioner Lai. We should be operating in an advisory capacity, but we are not, our advice is not sought. Our advice was not sought on the throne. Our advice was not sought with the new electric lawnmower that's going into the, or the ad hoc oversight committee for the golf course. I don't even know if that exists, but in lieu of that, maybe we can serve that purpose. But there is no, oversight committee for the golf course to make recommendations there. This new work plan just came upon us. Our advice was not sought on that. There was a new survey that came out about the parks. No one sent that out to me or anyone here, maybe someone here, to review before it was sent out, but there are spelling mistakes, there are repeat items in the survey. It would have been great to have like a little advance notice, and so we could advise and provide advice and feedback. But that is not our role. And that has not been how I have been utilized, or I don't know if maybe other people up here have been utilized that way, but I do not want to participate in this commission anymore when I am completely overlooked and undervalued. It does not help me serve my community, and it's quite frankly a waste of time for me. So I just don't see what my function is anymore, and so I don't don't think I would like to participate in the commission any longer.
I resign as well.
That's a damn shame.
If it was the first time, maybe, or second, but, 3, 4 times, I just, I don't, I think the commission would be better served by having other people participate in the way that the staff wants the commissioners to participate.
Or the way that the council wishes. So this is something entirely different. I hear what you're saying, Mayor Braun. On one hand, you're saying, okay, it has to be this because you're not going to develop a website. At no time did I ever think I was going to sit down and help them write a website. I thought that we would have some input about how, and I think that's what we've been talking about. We should consider this on outreach. The city's outreach on community service programs is abysmal. And I thought with my experience and what I do in community outreach, I'd be able to lend some, information. But now I'm saying, oh, no, you're not going to develop it. I never thought that I would develop a website. And I don't think anybody on here would. We did think we were going to be providing input. But what I did not expect is to have it completely minimized. And anybody can say what they want about, oh, well, it didn't look like the thing in April. It was much heftier. And at that time, it would have been nice if someone had said, you know what, we really can't do this. And we could have changed course 3 months ago. And so I understand the city has its priorities. That's great. Is that what I thought when I looked at this? Oh, they changed their priorities? No, I know I'm astute enough to know, and I'm extremely involved with the city's politics, to know that there is this new city manager. And that probably it just would have been nice if someone had picked up the phone and had a conversation with us so that I didn't come here like an idiot tonight and be presented with something different, like I wasn't going to notice and have a problem with it. So as much as I was very honored to be given this opportunity, finally, after many, many years as a commissioner, I can no longer serve. So I don't know what the process for that is. Do I remain for the rest of the meeting or what? Perhaps staff can advise me.
I don't think I've ever been in that kind of situation.
I think the question is, when would you like your resignation to be effective?
Effective at the end of this meeting.
Okay? Okay. And again, I want to say, and I'm not going to try to change anybody's mind, but, a lot's happened in this city the last 2.5 years. I'm just going to go on record here and say this. 2.5 years ago, we had a different city attorney, we had a different city manager, we had a different assistant city manager, we had a different finance director, we had a different planning director, we had a different public works director, we had a different community services director, and we had a different fire chief. We have changed almost the entire management structure in this city. We have had a meltdown in the finance department over the last 10 years that we are fixing, spending over $500,000 on consultants to get to the bottom of it. We have had all kinds of issues with our housing element. As you know, it took us 5.5 drafts to get it certified. We just had it certified last July. We had to go through a big ballot measure. We're looking at that this Wednesday. There's a lot of really positive things happening in this city, a lot. With our new management team, with, we're cleaning up the finances, we're on top of the housing element, we're looking at plans in the parks, plans for the community center, plans for the golf course. There's a lot going on, but there's a lot going on. So I say, yes, did we trip over this? Yes. We've tripped over this. We didn't communicate it well. It was just one of those, whatever, maybe we just weren't thinking about it. That's not an excuse. It's just I'm telling you what it is. And you can be disgusted. Fine. I don't care. Okay? We're doing our best. We're doing our best. I think that the city council, I can't speak for the city council. I can speak for myself. I'd like the commissions to have input. I like the community involvement. We can't be everywhere. So we do need the commissions involved to help to sort of give the guidance, to provide the community input, because we have 8,000 other things going on. So I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise, but I think that maybe we've stumbled here on the process, but certainly I think on the content, this was just a kind of something to throw out, like this is what we were kind of thinking. Here's the priorities. Let's discuss them, what makes sense. So I don't know what you guys want to do from here, whether you want to try to work on it or whether you just want to table this for the next meeting. I'll leave that to the commission.
Melissa had brought it up so that we could see, I believe. Did you put it up on our screen a while ago?
I can bring up the previous work plan and we can attach it as an additional doc if you would like to go through it, and then we can determine what we can include into this revised plan and take any recommendations from the commission.
My initial, when I just saw the first three and I know it was longer, there was nothing on there, in my opinion, that I thought should be added back because like we've been discussing, we're an oversight. We're making, I forgot the word was, recommendation, advisory. So there wasn't, to me, if anything, it looked like we were doubling up on work that the city staff does already. That's what I got when I briefly looked, personally. Unless there's something anybody else believes we should add back on.
At any point, did you consider saying that to us when we were making that plan? That we were doubling up on city staff work?
I didn't, but
Because I don't remember hearing you say that, so.
just because I didn't, I felt there was a very strong desire to add all those things on. I didn't actually necessarily agree with it, but I felt there was a very strong presence that wanted it. And so I kind of went, go along to get along. It was not the moment. Well, in my opinion, we're reset, and I really appreciate the reset. So I think this is a good moment for what I believe that, like Chair Samuel said, in terms of what this commission's here to do. So it's a little hard when sometimes there's really loud voices and passion. I just said, okay, it sounds like that's the majority, so I'll see where this goes. That's why I went along with it a few months ago, but I wasn't 100% for it. And now that I'm re-looking at it, it does things like develop a comprehensive communications plan. That's what the staff does. Review and update city's website to improve it. That's not something we should be doing. So that's just my few thoughts in the beginning here.
So yeah, maybe we go through and if this is something we want to discuss now, or if we maybe think this is something better suited for letting this marinate and addressing at a future meeting, I'm open to discussing it now just to have an idea. But I think that maybe this is something that despite what we talk about, this might take a few meetings to, we shouldn't have the pressure considering what's gone on tonight to come up with something that's our final decision.
I'd like to add something else in here. At our last meeting, I think it was in May, because we didn't have a June meeting. The last meeting, there was an item about youth services and a gap in youth services. There was much discussion about it, but we didn't do anything about it. And I think that still is there. As you all know, I'm pretty passionate about this. We need more youth services. And when I say youth commission, everybody freaks out when I hear youth commission, because the city council a few years ago apparently put it into the Community Services Commission and let it die, much like the Animal Services Commission was put into Community Services and then it died. But I want to put on the work plan something about youth services. I think we need to address that, other than doing the whatever stuff we do right now with it. It's not enough. It's been acknowledged, I think, I think Melissa put it on the agenda in May. So I want to add that to our work plan. I want to do something about youth services and increasing the youth services and getting them more involved.
Commissioner Plotkin, could you identify where that would fall with the council priorities? I hear you, I understand what you are saying, but based
Okay.
on the council priorities,
Here, I'll tell you right here.
okay.
Purpose, membership, and terms of the youth of the commission. Right here, community service. It says will act in advisory capacity to promoting the health, interests, and well-being of the city's senior citizen, and youth populations. And it goes on and on and on.
But
it
looking at the city
specifically-
count-
It specifically
That's the
says. it
charter,
can be-
not the work plan.
So I do,
That's a
I-
charter that's our purpose and membership in community services. It's right there. So that does not align accordingly. It's there, but it doesn't align with what the city council says. So something's amiss.
I have two thoughts, if that's okay. I'm sorry, just tell me if you think I'm talking too much, but I'm trying to work through this collectively. I think that making recommendations about what kind of youth services this commission thinks we're missing, or what we should, you can make recommendations to the council about the kinds of youth services you'd like to see. This council could, or this commission could do the work or the homework, maybe get some input from staff about what's currently offered and what we think is missing, and make those recommendations. I think that could be something that's done. And Steve, to your point about the municipal code, we're making lots of amendments to the municipal code as items come up. I've talked to our city attorney. Our code is so old, and so it's been amended so many times in little pieces. There's lots of inconsistencies, and she's doing amendments as issues come up. But I understand, believe me, when I made all the various appointments, that there are some inconsistencies in the municipal code. It could be drafted much better.
Yeah, I don't know if this is a municipal code. This says purpose, membership, and terms of Community Services Commission.
It might be from the code.
Yeah, I don't know if it's code or not code, but I see it's black and white right there.
So can
And-
I ask a procedural question in accordance with Commissioner Plotkin's question? So even though, is what's happening here is, if I'm understanding this correctly, the Community Services Commission has their own charter. We have a mission that includes the youth, the seniors, the parks, all of these things. So we are not, what you're saying is we are not able to specifically put that in this Community Services 2025 work plan because youth and senior departments are not mentioned specifically in the city council priorities of 2025?
That's part of it. That is correct, yes.
Yeah, and so Lucy, what I might say is, under 4D, commissions set annual priorities and work plans consistent with council priorities by March annually. But I do think, and again, this is where we're making this up as we go along because the commissions have had an odd status for many years. So we're trying to figure this out. That if this commission they do have jurisdiction over youth services, senior services, maybe they do put that in their plan to make recommendations to council. And then council could, yes or no, or something. The issue, I think, might be also related to staff time, right? So if we ask staff to do all the work, then youth services is not in the plan. So that's kind of where one of the push-pulls is.
I just think we should just be mindful of not neglecting our commission duties just because it's not in the plan. So I agree with, like, maybe we include it in our work plan, and then because it's it would be negligent of us to ignore the youth if that's part of our fundamental purpose of this commission, and then we present something when it comes up to the council. But
Yeah.
by eliminating it here, I think it's sort of thwarting us at the beginning when that doesn't really seem efficient.
And then maybe you all come up with the ideas, because staff really is limited, right? So it's a matter of staff, commission, council. So neither the council nor a commission can really direct staff to do something unless it's on the priority list, right? But you could, within yourself, say, hey, there's this great youth program. Let's talk about it. Here's what we could do. Let's suggest this. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here.
I think that's a good idea if the commission wants to take on. And in the future, it could possibly be a work plan, a council priority for council for next year. It's a
Right.
living document. It will change. And everything on the 2025 priorities list is not going to be the same as 2026. So it could be a living document that the commission can take on and address, and when that time comes up, the commission could be ready to present that.
So
Are
maybe
you
in a,
saying
sorry.
are you saying it's too late to put it on this year?
I think I think they could put it on this year.
Really?
Again, I think just as long as it's the commission putting together the programming or the ideas, and so we're not drawing on staff time.
I agree. So it sounds like our way in, besides this, is to make collectively ideas that are recommendations that we want to bring to city council. Or, yeah, right?
So maybe that could be added to our objectives for our 2025 work plan, is to somehow by a certain date create recommendations where we feel there's a gap to be
Yeah.
added to the 2025 city council priorities.
2026.
2026,
Yeah.
yes.
For instance, something that comes to mind right away is Commissioner Moore, who's not here tonight, who was really galvanized and excited about doing something to survey her peers to figure out how the city could potentially fill a gap or a need that they had that their peers aren't getting for teens. And so I was kind of wondering where that could go. So that seems like an area that's already a recommendation right there. Because I don't know if we can even proceed with that, given what the, what is this called? The priorities say for 2025. So we kind of, sounds like, if I'm understanding this right, has to go up to city council to get sort of approval, right? Is
But
that
how
it
granular
should be?
does the city council's,
Yeah,
It's
I was
like-
in that too.
it's like, are we bothering you with youth stuff when that's part of our job?
No, it's not a bother at all. I mean, we are already doing youth activities and services and programs. We have leisure classes, we have after school, we have summer camps, we have youth volunteers that help us either at the senior center or at the recreation division. We've even had them help us at special events. So it's not that we are neglecting the youth or neglecting the seniors. That is not a question.
Oh, no, sorry, I meant how granular does this city council priorities list have to be in order for us to include it on our objectives?
As my understanding is, we have to stick with those priorities so that it could align. But as a living document that we can build upon for next year, I think that's something that the commission can work on. And when we do have time and our staff is in full force, we can assist in certain areas as well.
And maybe the answer is if, for example, this commission wanted to make some recommendations about youth services, maybe perhaps agendize the current youth services that the city is currently providing. And maybe the commission could discuss that and what's missing. What more does this commission want to see? What have you heard in the community? What could you do? I know we've talked about this, Lucy, but the YMCA, I met with the YMCA. They're talking about how could they get more involved in the city. I mean, that's something where I think this commission could sort of think about that. Like, I don't even know what that is, but maybe how does that work with the city? And discuss that. That's the way I'm thinking about this.
We're limited by these objectives. Yeah.
I don't think so. I'm not going to say that they're going to be adopted at this year, but I think certainly make it may be at the end of the year. And we're still struggling with this, by the way. So this is why everything's evolving. So as you might remember, we used to have the Commissioner Congress in June. It wasn't that well attended, and it took a lot of staff time, and it was sort of kind of interesting, but then everybody just left and nothing else happened. Many years ago, we had each commission come to council, say in October, November, like three commissions for 3 different meetings, and present to council what that commission did that year and what it wants to accomplish the following year. So I think, again, this is an evolving process because the commissions have been in somewhat, it's just not been clear for many years. Like, what's the role? How does that get incorporated? With the city council, with the staff? And I think we're all struggling with that right now, is to just try to figure out how to put all these pieces together.
I might want to add, just for Commissioner Plotkin's, to address his concerns, as if we're amending this document right now, as one of the objectives to discuss, like we did last time, regularly discuss this youth services gap analysis, this youth services gap, and make recommendations to city council for how we can, address those issues. So maybe just put it on our objective as keep this discussion alive so that we can recommend and provide input and work with staff and city council to address the youth issues. I also have the same, I know the senior center is pretty self-contained. I'm not sure, we haven't really discussed if there's anything to be done with that. But I think putting these on the objective, since they're a fundamental part of this commission, would be helpful.
Noted. Work in
Thank-
progress.
Thank you. I would also thank you very much for that. I want to talk about the youth services gap, and I want to put it on this year. I don't want to wait for another year to do it because that just extends the time before we can even get anything started. So at least we can start discussing this and talk about youth services gap and see what we can do and what we can come up with. I don't believe it's going to take staff time to do this. I think we can do this together as a commission and talk about that and put our heads together. And that's one of the things I really enjoyed about this commission. It seemed like it came alive a little after I got on there, and more people were talking. And it was like when I first got on this commission, it was commissions are great. It meets once a month. It's only about a half an hour. And on my first meeting, we talked for about 2 to 3 hours at least. And I think that's been the norm, and more people are participating. And Commissioner Lai, you're saying you don't like it when you hear the rubber stamp, but we talked and we talked and talked about different things, and it was great discussions. And now I'm hearing that we can't talk about these things, and we just need to do what we're supposed to do. And there again is that rubber stamp. But I digress. I propose that we put on one of our objectives to discuss the youth services gap and address how we can make it better, close the gap.
So I would just ask for clarification, since the work plan is supposed to be tasks and activities that are tangible, is this a discussion by the commission to provide recommendations on youth services?
Yes, that sounds good to me. At least for this particular year. And I wouldn't mind being the lead person on this.
I'm just going to be really honest and say I'm getting a little, I know we're trying to figure this out, and I'm still a little unclear, if I'm really honest, because it seems like we're really trying to keep to the city council priorities, but like, Commissioner Plotkin and a few of us had noted, we're missing our fundamental, kind of like, I don't know, remit we were given. So I'm trying to figure out, how do we get it in? Can we put it back on our list? That's what I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in.
I think the issue is, yes, you can put on your list, to me, this is just me talking, okay? I think you can put it on your list of items that are community services related. I think the trick, to my sense, as long as we're not directing staff to go do something, that's not a city council priority, right? So we're saying, staff could bring you could ask staff on the agenda, bring me a report on youth services. And then let's us discuss like where the gaps are, and maybe you guys all go out and talk to young people and you kind of figure out what they want. And then you come back here and you say, okay, here's what we really need to do. And then you make recommendations, or you start a program, or you do something. I think that's what I would say. I think we have to be cognizant of staff time. I think the city manager is, you can hear Lucy always saying, city council priorities, city council priorities. I think they've been, their task is to follow the city council priorities. City council, there's this other thing, which is the charter. So this is your subject matter area. Yes, you can do things in your subject matter area. It just don't take too much of the staff time. Does that make sense? To direct staff to develop a youth program.
Okay, so I actually think that this actually gives us more agency than we originally thought. So if I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yep.
This City Council Priorities 2025, as it relates to the objective, is purely what we are allowed to ask staff to engage with, because we don't want staff engaging in things that are outside of this purview. However, as a commission, we can really do whatever we want, in a sense, as long as we get approval, perhaps. We just can't ask staff to do something outside of these specific parameters. But if we choose to create something for the youth or the stables, that would be maybe us asking for approval and then us taking the initiative to go do it ourselves, so that since staff is not being paid to go outside of this purview. Is that what I'm understanding? So it kind of gives us more agency in a sense?
In some respects, yes, right? Because we want you to look at all the community services. Not every, so if you really look at the city council priorities, not everything going on in the city is on this list, right? I mean, Lucy and Melissa, their team, they're doing all kinds of things that aren't on this list because that's part of the everyday operations. So yes, if you want to look at this, yeah, you have an idea for something that could happen at the stables. Like if you want to look into it, if you want to come in and suggest something, or you've talked to a lot of people, hey, I've talked to these people, here's something we could do, here's what I recommend, and bring it, ask, could it be put on the agenda? I think that's fair.
So it almost is like we're creating two separate work plans. One in which we engage staff, and one in which we have our goals and we push forward the goals of the commission that might not overlap with staff's role.
I think that, yeah.
Is that making sense? Because I think right now we are thinking we're limited by this work plan, which is limited by the city council priorities, but our scope is bigger. So how are we fitting that in? I think really this work plan is only as it relates to what staff's allowed to help us with.
That is accurate.
Okay. So maybe is staff allowed to help us make another work plan that doesn't, like if we discuss it, is that something staff's allowed to?
I think again, we're flying the airplane at the same time we're building the airplane. So I think, yes, I think staff can help, but I think that one thing I had heard is, and this is not anything that happened with this commission, but maybe just generally, is commissions really can't be, on council cannot be directing staff, right? So you're working with staff and you're making recommendations to staff and you're reviewing things with staff, but we can't, none of us in council either, we can't direct staff to do something.
And sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot, but so what I'm hearing is we can clarify an objective that aligns with the city council priorities, but we can also maybe put on the agenda to create our own work plan, and that is something that we can do. Yeah, okay. Okay, yeah.
So
And
you
then
put,
staff-
like, review the pocket, like,
yeah.
you want to talk about the pocket parks, like what's happening with the pocket parks. You think that, I don't know, there should be a seesaw at the pocket park. You know what I'm saying? Like,
And
oh,
then
you
staff
heard from
can
these
say,
people. Yeah.
That's not part of your purview, or that is part of your purview, and then staff can say that's not part of our purview to help you with, but you can go off as a commission and put together a proposal if you want to do something about it,
Or make recommendations.
or make a recommendation. Okay.
Yeah. I think organizationally, if we can put it on this Community Service Commission 2025 work plan, is there a way to just add another column that says, these are connected to city council priorities versus these are connected to our charter, our community services charter? I mean, can they go on the same list? Is that
That's true,
acceptable?
yeah.
Or do you think they should be separate?
I think we leave the work plan separate, and then whatever items that the commission wants to discuss, then you would need to make a motion so that it could be agendized, and make sure you get a second. So let's say Commissioner Weinberger, if you do want to talk about youth gap analysis or youth programming for next month, you can go ahead and make that motion and have another commissioner second your motion, and we can agendize it. And that's something that the commission would have to have a discussion on without having any of the staff put in any of the work for that.
And I think, Lucy, I might be wrong about this, but when you work with the chair, you could also, the chair could say, hey, I want youth services on the agenda this month, or I'd like to see stables on the, And not just stables, but something specific. I want to discuss the programs offered by the stables to the community. You know, we have the following ideas, or I want to hear what the commission has to say about what the stables could be doing as programs for the community.
Maybe the stables is not a great example, but we
that's a
can
bad
put in
example.
different topics of interest that may be of interest to the commission or to the community or related to youth or possibly some senior programmings or recreational programmings.
So if this is the work plan that aligns with the city priorities, then I don't have an issue with it. But I would like to make a motion to develop, now I don't know the words to use because I'm not sure to develop a work plan that's parallel to this, that fills in those gaps that we cannot ask staff to help with, like the youth. I mean,
So if I can
you know what
chime
I'm
in,
trying to say,
maybe
right? Yeah.
because I'm concerned about having you guys have two work plans and it just maybe gets a little confusing. If there's certain items during our commissioner communications to bring up, so like we are aware that there wants to be discussion about youth services, that's something that we bring up, we get our second and add to the agenda for the next meeting where you give clear kind of what you're looking for. So if it's that staff present what we currently offer and then you guys go out and two of you, so we don't have a Brown Act violation, and maybe look at that and then bring back some recommendations. That could be something, but I would just be concerned about you guys having two separate work plans going. So either look at the one that we have and figure out a way to add it or adopt this, just so that you guys don't have essentially double the work.
Can I make a recommendation here?
Yes.
Or just a thought? You could put on here, you know, review of community services programs, right? And make recommendations, something like that. I think you could put that as part of your work.
More general, so that kind of
Yes,
things
but you might even say including, but not limited to, right? You know, youth services, senior services. If you wanted to make youth services a separate item, that'd be fine too. But I think, again, it could be just sort of recommendations about the various community services offered or new services, proposed new services.
I like the, review community services programs, that leaves it open.
Programs, offerings, and provide
make
input, make recommendations.
And that could be a monthly agendized item if the commission chooses to go that route.
So I guess the request then would be to table the proposed work plan for right now, ask city staff to look into amending the work plan to incorporate some of these suggestions and put it on the next meeting's agenda for review and approval. Are we still within the time frame? We're not like running against the clock or anything, right?
What suggestion, when you say incorporate some of these suggestions, I'm just curious what you mean by that.
I think some of the request was that the city council's priorities, specifically the items that they would like to accomplish, be incorporated specifically into the work plan itself. So say, for example, implement, I think the 2026, there we go. I saw it just a second ago, sorry. Oh yeah, work on Parks Master Plan for completion, presentation in early 2026, begin construction of the 2 pocket parks. So how would we be able to assist in that, right? What can we do to support the completion of the Parks Master Plan and to assist in the presentation to the community, right?
So another suggestion only might be to get the chair and maybe one other member, maybe whoever you choose, to meet with maybe Todd and Lucy and kind of talk about what the right, kind of put together a revised work plan. And I'm happy to be there as well, if you want me there.
So in terms of today, we're not voting on the proposed work plan that
I support your motion to basically table it, incorporate specific things we talked about today, like review community services programs, put that on the monthly agenda. If we want to put a youth specific one, we can, but I think I agree. I second the motion to table it, this discussion. And then maybe after we come to a place where we're comfortable with it, that meeting takes place? Or does that happen before?
Well, it's your commission, so I don't want to tell you what to do, but I think to make it more productive, I think it might be interesting to talk about what you want on the agenda for next time, specifics, like if you want youth services on the agenda, maybe. But I might have a subcommittee of this commission, if you want to kind of delegate that, to work with the city manager, community services director, to kind of propose a work plan for the next meeting based on the discussions here.
So I don't know what the next steps would be, but I just wanted to make one other comment. This work plan, perhaps the previous work plan, the action, the verbs were a little too involved, develop this, complete this, create that. And I'm reading it and I'm realizing that perhaps that language was incorrect. And I think, but I think a lot of those topics, what the hope was, and I thought that we had alignment, but I guess there were some of us who were not aligned, but didn't speak up at the time. Each of those like actionable items would have been agendized, come to the commission, and we would talk about that in a collaborative way. Hey, what are we doing? This thing is going to be on the agenda for next meeting, whatever it is. I don't know, long-term maintenance plan with Public Works for the parks facilities. It's obviously very, it's a large thing. But hey, could we bring people to the table? Can we have that discussion? What's being planned, and can we participate and help facilitate or get input or provide input on moving that thing along? So perhaps that this language was a little too, involved, or declared us a little too involved, or directed staff to do things. I think that was provided. The pendulum is completely in the opposite direction. It is provide a social media presence to engage a wider audience, assist with outreach, provide input for ribbon cutting. It just sounds so soft and so passive, but also would require city staff to actually ask for input, ask for us to help in some way, which has not been the pattern of behavior, which is why, in my opinion, the work plan that we put together was a little more like involved. Like, hey, we want to be more involved, and here is the work plan that demonstrates our desire to be more involved. And I apologize if it was wrong. I wish that we had other people participating in that creation who knew that it was a little too like overzealous, I guess. I don't know. But this work plan takes us back to where we were, which I think is not where the commission should be going. And what the next steps are, I don't know if I'm gonna I don't know if I'm gonna be involved in that. But that's just what I want to kind of leave this discussion sharing.
Look, I think this is a bumpy road. I think, we're trying to figure out these things, right? So, again, I would say, this might not have been, this was probably a little too much. Wasn't communicated well. We are bad at communication in this city. We know it. We're working on that. But I do think that the intent is pure, right? Like, we want the commissions to be involved. We want commission input. And we're trying really hard, especially with a brand new management staff, to figure out what is, we don't want to overburden our staff, right? So we don't want anybody, council or commission, directing staff. So it's just finding that. I don't think any of us really knows what that sweet spot is, but I think we're going to just have to, it's not a perfect process. We're just going to have to figure that out together. But knowing that nobody's out to undermine, nobody's out to marginalize, nobody, that's not the intent of anybody, truly.
I guess, I guess because we don't know the way forward, and so I'm trying to envision, because I see sort of the next steps and why we needed to sort of reset and get to this point, and now we're going to figure out how to move forward. But there is a part of me that keeps going, okay, so then we say we want to add something back, we start to discuss it, we see some gaps or some things we want to change, then I go, well, then what happens then? You know, that's where my question is.
So when you say you see the next steps.
No, I don't quite see it.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure it out. Like, I see that we're gonna get to the point where we're following it along. We got this going. Okay, we asked things to be agendized. I'm trying to figure out then, say we discuss something, particularly connected to teens. Teens seems to be a big thing. We get some feedback from staff. We understand it a little better. I'm trying to figure out, what do we do with that? What we've discussed? Does it just sit there? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well,
We're
that's
like,
why-
oh,
yeah.
we as a commission, we've asked, whatever. I'm trying to figure out where it goes from there.
I think for me, because I have the same questions, which is why I thought maybe there's an opportunity for us to have a little bit more agency, because then now that we know, and it seemed to be like a really kind of rude awakening tonight, now that we know the separations that are happening between our roles and cities' roles and our capabilities, perhaps we can utilize those sort of our misunderstandings and say, okay, now prior we would say, we would have a discussion and then we would kind of put it out there. But maybe this is an opportunity to say, we have this idea, does it fall under staff purview? You say no. We say, can we review this and put together a recommendation? You say, maybe. And then we might put together something, which then, I don't know, is this some, if we're kind of flying the airplane as we're making it, is this now something that we take advantage of that gap and actually take more agency and create recommendations that we then present to council? I'm not sure, but I'm thinking maybe that, I feel like that last step has always been a little bit unclear. So maybe it's more of a trial and error situation.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm putting it out there.
If I just want to remind everyone, the work plan based on council priorities is through February 2026. So we have 7 months to complete the work plan as a commission. So just be mindful of that time frame. I'm not alluding to anything as to approving this plan tonight. You can either do that or you could table it to next month, but just keep in mind that we have some work that needs to be done and we only have 7 months to get it accomplished. Just want to put that out there.
So when you guys talk about adding additional topics outside of these items, that's sort of what we started to do. We started to look at the golf course. The whole golf course was a big thing. In the contract, there's this, not an oversight committee, but some sort of conciliary thing that was supposed to be consulting or getting community input and advising, getting information from the golf course. It's actually written in the contract. And when we had the discussion, I believe it was here, who's part of that committee? I believe it was you, but I could be mistaken, who said, I'm that committee. Does that committee meet? Yes, I meet with them. Where are the minutes? There are no minutes. And I understand you're busy. You have a ton to do. City council doesn't have the time to look into the details of the golf course. And so I thought it was a good opportunity because it was a hot button issue that we could get involved, ask questions, look at the financials, start to get into the weeds and start to help. And, I understand new manager, different perspective, doesn't want staff directed to do work there because you have a ton of other things. I get it. And it was like, okay, this is not what should be discussed. That's okay. All of a sudden disappears from the agenda. Hey, what happened? Did it all of a sudden get taken off? Where's the communication? Why? Todd could shoot an email, something like that. I know communication is not our strongest suit, but an email is not difficult. From him, from you, from someone. We started to go down the path of talking about the stables. I went to the stables, you might have gone to the stables. We looked at, some capital improvement budget that some of the money should go into that just doesn't exist. Hey, it's weird. This doesn't exist. Maybe we should look into it. Maybe there's someone living in this property. We should be getting rental income. Maybe there are unfair labor practices going on where these people are living there working 24 hours a day, and is that something that someone should have oversight on? City council doesn't have time. Staff is working on different priorities. This is us getting involved in what I thought, and I think the majority of us would agree, are services that are offered by the community. Therefore, they are community services. And so it was like, okay, and now all of a sudden, this stuff is not within our purview. I mean, it just seems like you're not trying to marginalize us. I hear that. You're not trying to marginalize the commission, the city council, city manager. But at the same time, it's like, these are the things that we want you to focus on. Ribbon cutting, um, you know, uh, things like that. And so it's going to be hard. To me, it's going to be difficult to I think it's a challenge to come up with what are we going to do that's going to be significant to talk about and engage in. Um, I guess full stop. That's it.
And I think to echo what Chair Samuels was saying, I've heard in conversations with other commissioners and with council members over the past several years that the role of the commission or the vision for the commissioners is because the council is so busy, they don't have legislative staff like they do at LA or in other cities, is to kind of help them and guide them in making the decisions when these things land on their desk. So that's how I thought I was going to be contributing, listening to Councilmember Rossi have these conversations with me over many years, Councilmember Ferguson, that the commissions could play a stronger role to take some of that load off of the commission. This sounds exactly the opposite from what I'm hearing today. I appreciate that maybe we could add some things in and have these conversations and then be told, no, really, it doesn't align. That sounds like a lot of work for everyone that really wouldn't result in much of an satisfactory outcome for the commissioners or for the staff or for the city. So to me, I don't, it's very confusing to me to say on one side, oh, we're not marginalizing you, you have this role to play, but like Commissioner Samuel said, but your role to play is limited to these things on the sheet, and maybe we could talk about something else, maybe we can't. I thought that's what we had been doing, was making suggestions to try to support you in your roles at the city, on city council and with the staff, so that you could move some things along without having to worry about all these things or come up with them on your own. In no way do I think that any of us wanted to add to your workload. So if that was the concern, I apologize for that. It's not my intent. It wasn't my intent. I wanted to contribute here to what I thought would be really helping the community, because I do talk to a lot of people in the community. So I know what's been important to them. And I don't know the same people as the other people sitting on this dais. So I was a voice for those people who aren't heard all the time because they don't get to go to the SPEF event because they can't afford it, or they aren't part of Oniata, or they aren't part of Dudes. So it's unfortunate. I thought I was fulfilling my role here. And so to have had this, just laid upon us without any consideration, really. I mean, clearly, I guess it's only me and Samuels and Plotkin that feel this way. And maybe that's just me, but it's how I feel. And again, I'm really disappointed. And I don't blame the staff for this at all.
Okay, so we had a motion from Commissioner Lai and a second from Weinberger, right? To table the vote to approve the new work plan until the next meeting?
Next meeting.
Do we want to roll call that or,
You don't need to.
okay. Any other comments? Okay, moving on to item 5, City Council communications. Janet, do you have anything?
I've talked way too much.
All right. Okay, Commissioner communications?
I can give an update on the library park, site plan that we've been meeting monthly. We're still working with the Group 4 consultants. They were able to take the data that we did both in person with the boards and also online. We had a lot of responses, and then they presented us with some tentative, very loose sort of drawings based on the size that they would recommend for our city and our future needs of our city. So it's still very much a work in progress. And all that information is available if you want to look on our website. And so we're still, I think our next meeting is going to focus on, we're doing another survey. So there will be another survey that goes out to the community to get more, I think, more feedback on what we want to see in our future library and the library park campus. So that's kind of the big update on that.
So the update is another survey is coming out.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you want to see that the work that they've already created and put together from the survey we've already done, you can go online. There is a website I should know the name of, but you can find it on our website, our city's website, to look and review. Everything's in draft form, so everything's still being considered and worked on with the ad hoc committee.
A question, is it going to be a brand new footprint? Is the library going to come down and a new building come up?
That's the big question that started to get passed around in that meeting. We were asked to give guidance to Group 4 on whether we would recommend a full, I'm just going to talk about it because it's all there. If we as a group would recommend a full demolishing the whole site, including the 1930s building. And that is not what was agreed to at that time. Things are still in progress. It was agreed to keep the 1930s building, the original Carnegie building, and to see what could be built around it. So that's what they're now working on, new iterations currently.
Now, another question, is the library going to be closed during this time or what?
One day. It's quite a long process. But right now, the whole point is to get a tentative needs assessment, because that's when we can go out and look for funding. That's the big thing we need, is to get it funded to even build it. Yeah. So many years, I think, down the line, Commissioner Plotkin.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lai?
Yeah, we started off the summer movies and concerts, and the one that I was able to attend was the first one with a Goofy movie, and I was very pleased to see the community turn out in numbers for the first one. Usually, I think for the 2 years that I've been on the commission, the first one is usually not as well attended, so I think that's a good sign with respect to the marketing and outreach that are going on for these programs. I know we have a few concerts and movies that are left, and I'm really looking forward to more great work coming out of the community services department and all the staff that are working really hard to put these together.
And I actually went to the concert and it was really great. The community's having a great time. Latin Soul Band did a great job. People were dancing. It was a really great event. And I wasn't able to make it to the movie, but the concert was a big success.
Anything else?
Hello. It's the disembodied Commissioner Plotkin. I would dearly hope that Commissioner Bagasso and Chairman Samuels please reconsider possible departure from this commission. I think their voices are very important voices, and I don't think this commission should lose them. And I sincerely hope you stay on.
Thanks. I was here for 4th of July. I actually did not walk in the parade for the first time in many years. I sat and I watched, and it was awesome. So you guys did a great job yet again. All the events were great. The fireworks show was amazing. The real fireworks show. I thought it was a great event. So good job. And I know the community had a lot of fun. I did get an email about something on the city council agenda for this Wednesday, which was a recommendation for a $30,000 electric mower for the golf course. I know that our city, the concern was that our city has lots of other needs and financial needs, and why was this I'm not expecting an answer, but just wanted to provide the feedback. Why is this a priority? Why are we suggesting an electric mower? I know it's one of the priorities of the city council to electrify our fleet, but with the additional costs and overhead to maintain an electric mower with chargers and infrastructure, and the fact that we know electric mowers don't mow grass as well as gas mowers do, it just seems like a strange recommendation. We had the same issue with the fire chief. There was a proposal to electrify the fire chief's vehicle. He chose not to go with an electric vehicle for reasons that made a lot of sense to him and his needs and the needs of the battalion. And I think that I don't know what the golf course thinks, but if have they been consulted, and is an electric mower the best thing for them? And just we should think beyond just the initial investment of this equipment, and not just the initial outlay of capital. That's all I have to say about that. Anything else from commission?
I just have two personal updates. I did attend one of the Latins, I think soul, the music in the park. It's fantastic. And I did attend the parade, and well done. I said hello to a few staff members. So it was really wonderful. And I've never seen the parade here before, so it was really, really fun to see it. Just on a personal note, I am doing a major surgery next week. I am receiving a new kidney, so I'm going to have a kidney transplant surgery next week. So I'm going to be out of commission for definitely a month. maybe back in 2 months' time. I'm not certain. So I will, of course, remind staff that I will not be here, but I wanted to let everyone else know that that's why I will not be around for at least 1 month, potentially 2, hopefully not 3.
Good luck. Hope it
Thank
goes
you.
well. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Could you possibly join by Zoom?
Maybe, yeah.
She's gonna call you for the link.
Good luck.
I can pretty much guarantee next month I will not be participating. I might log on just to watch. There's a very intensive recovery process, but I appreciate that you want me there. Thank you, Commissioner Plotkin. But maybe the second month, if I need to do like you, I'll talk to staff about doing that.
Okay. Any communications from staff?
Just quickly, there are a couple of items going to City Council this Wednesday that I will be presenting. So if you haven't had a chance to look at the agenda, please do. Reach out if you have any questions. I did send out an email regarding the Parks Comprehensive Plan survey. So please take the survey, share it with your friends, your neighbors. If each one of you get me 50 people to take the survey, that would be 350 surveys there, which we can outnumber that. So please take the survey and share with your friends. The more input we get, the stronger of a solid plan we can have so that we could present to City Council later on at the end of the year or the beginning of next year.
I'm
It already
curious-
went to the commission previously via email for them to review.
I think she meant the presentation.
The presentation, I will check with the consultant to see if it's in their scope to bring it back to commission. I can't remember. I will check into that and I will let you know.
How many surveys have you had completed other than mine?
I don't have that information because it goes straight to the consultant, so I won't be
okay.
able to see it. So I don't know.
Have you gone through it?
Yes.
Have you guys gone through it? Anybody else?
I have not.
I'll
I'm-
send you the link, Vice Chair Plotkin.
Thank you. I'm curious, when I listened to their presentation about the surveys, I was mightily impressed that they were going to cover the entire city, and now I'm getting a feel that this is not happening.
So maybe some clarification. There was a survey that was sent out to residents that were randomly selected so that that would be the statistically valid survey. And then there's an online, the same survey that is just available to anyone who would like to take it.
It doesn't sound like we've had much participation in the survey. That's my point.
So
No,
it,
the last survey was a random survey. This survey is a new survey that's going out to residents specifically, and it just came out yesterday?
Probably
Friday?
Thursday or Friday, yes.
Oh, this
New survey.
survey says.
All right. Well, do we check for public comment or no?
no, you already closed it.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks, staff. No further comments, or commissioners from anyone. We'll
Next
adjourn the
meeting is-
meeting at 8:20. Next meeting is August 11th, 2025 at 6:30. Good luck,
Thank you.
and I will see you at the next meeting.